This is Mac OS Ken.
Apple pledges another $100 billion for U.S. manufacturing. Tim Cook visits the Oval. And F1 heads back to IMAX. It is Thursday, the 7th of August, 2025. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken. Brought to you by yours truly and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSCan. With next to no warning, the White House on Wednesday teased the fact that Apple was going to increase its planned investment in U.S. manufacturing from the $500 billion announced earlier this year by another $100 billion. Word also had Apple CEO Tim Cook showing up at the White House to make the announcement. All of that came to pass, with Apple issuing a press release around the same time as the afternoon event. In addition to the extra $100 billion, the release heralds the creation of what Apple calls the ambitious new American manufacturing program, dedicated to bringing even more Apple supply chain and advanced manufacturing to the U.S. The release quoted Cook as saying, "We're proud to increase our investments across the United States to $600 billion over 4 years and launch our new American manufacturing program. This includes new and expanded work with 10 companies across America. They produce components that are used in Apple products sold all over the world, and we're grateful to the President for his support." Support is an interesting word for it. According to a piece from TechCrunch, the news comes as President Trump has threatened the iPhone maker with tariffs unless it moves more of its manufacturing from Asia to the U.S. For his support, Cook gave Trump a trophy. The base of the thing is 24-karat gold because, of course it is. The upper part, though, is actually kind of interesting. Designed by a former Marine who now works at Apple, the body of the thing is a round piece of glass from the Corning line. On it are inscribed the words, "President Donald J. Trump, Apple American Manufacturing Program, Made in USA, 2025. In the middle are a cutout of the Apple logo and an etching of Tim Cook's signature. The glass part of the trophy is the important part, with Corning figuring prominently into Apple's announced program. According to the company's press release, that program will help fund a major expansion of Apple's long-standing partnership with Corning, bringing the world's largest and most advanced smartphone glass production line to a factory in Harrodsburg, Kentucky. The expansion means that soon, every iPhone and Apple Watch sold around the world will be built with Kentucky-made cover glass. The two companies will also open a new Apple Corning Innovation Center in Kentucky. Cool for Corning, but who else? A piece from Apple Insider says the companies taking part in the investment plan are already in Apple's supply chain. They include Corning, of course, Amcor, Applied Materials, Broadcom, Coherent, Global Foundries, Global Wafers America, Samsung, and Texas Instruments. Then there are Apple's own projects. Money from the $600 billion will also go to a factory in Houston being built to build Apple servers, Detroit's Apple Manufacturing Academy, set to open this month, the expansion of Apple data centers in Iowa, Nevada, North Carolina, and Oregon, and the completion of a second campus in Austin, Texas. Now, prior to the press avail in the White House on Wednesday, I saw 3 stories about the new tariffs on goods made in India imported into the U.S. One from Apple Insider indicated that Apple's iPhone manufacturing would be hit by the doubling of Indian tariffs. One from 9to5Mac listed Apple as largely unaffected by Indian tariffs. And one from Mac Rumor said Apple would not be impacted by the ramping up of India tariffs. Right now, it looks like it's going to be that last one, because right now, the president is happy with Apple. In the midst of his prepared remarks, the president said the administration is putting a 100% tariff on chips and semiconductors, companies like Apple not included. The good news for companies like Apple, said Trump, if you're building in the United States or have committed to build, without question, committed to build in the United States, there will be no charge. He went on to say, so in other words, we'll be putting a tariff of approximately 100% on chips and semiconductors, but if you're building in the United States of America, there's no charge, even though you're building and you're not producing yet in terms of the big numbers of jobs and things that you're building. If you're building, there will be no charge. A couple of sentences later, he said, so 100% tariff on all chips and semiconductors coming into the United States, but if you've made a commitment to build, or if you're in the process of building, as many are, there is no tariff, okay? If for some reason you say you're building and you don't build, then we go back and we add it up, it accumulates, and we charge you at a later date. You have to pay, and that's a guarantee. Among the difficulties with that answer, it was about a tariff on chips and semiconductors, not electronics assembled outside the US. But one assumes that the answer applies there as well. During a Q&A with the press after prepared remarks by the president and the CEO, a reporter asked about assembly of iPhones here in the States. Specifically, when's that going to happen? CEO Cook gave his usual answer about a large number of iPhone components being made here in the US, including the Kentucky Corning glass announcement. Pushed a tiny bit on that, though. Cook did concede that actual assembly will continue outside the US. Coming to Cook's defense on that, President Trump. He pointed out that assembly takes a long time to set up and that it's been set up in other countries for a long time. While he teasingly floated the idea of incentivizing Apple enough to bring iPhone assembly to the US at some point, he pivoted quickly back to the hundreds of billions of dollars the company has pledged to invest here in the States. That makes it sound like Apple might get a pass on tariffs on Indian goods. But that's just a guess. As a piece from Business Insider points out, it remains uncertain if the tech giant will be subject to the president's stiffer tariffs on India, which have the stated aim of punishing India for continuing to buy oil from Russia. To some, though, it sounds like Apple will get a pass. Seeming to expect relief on the India tariffs is Deepwater analyst Gene Munster. Apple 3.0 ran part of a reaction note he wrote Wednesday, after crediting Cook for navigating a 7-month storm and crediting Trump for supporting Apple again. Unky Gene said, in the end, Apple will spend more with U.S. suppliers, continue to assemble phones in China and India, which means it's unlikely prices will go up on account of this deal. Margins should remain stable and Apple investors can sleep better at night, knowing the tariff risk appears off the table for the next few years. Lord, give me the faith of a Munster. The same Apple 3.0 post had Evercore analyst Amit Daryanani reacting as well. He also sees relief for Apple, though he limited himself to the chips and semiconductor tariffs specifically. According to Daryanani, Apple's commitment to U.S. manufacturing should exempt the company from sectoral tariffs on semiconductors, and we think clarity surrounding this overhang should be an incremental positive for Apple stock. Clarity. Without mentioning the India thing, please define clarity. If you're going to the Apple Park Visitor Center this month, you will not be going up top. A piece from Apple Insider says the rooftop terrace will be off limits until the 1st of September. The notice doesn't say specifically what is being done, but rather that some improvements are being made. Sort of disappointing for would-be visitors. Personally, I'm disappointed that the one time I went there, I didn't know you could go on the roof. Been to the top of the Arc de Triomphe, though. A lot of people don't know you can go up there. And finally today, if you missed F1, the movie, in IMAX, this is the weekend that it's headed back. Apple issued a press release Wednesday reminding folks about the bigger-than-big screen return. Then it'll get even bigger. According to the company, tickets are on sale for select theaters and showtimes beginning Friday, the 8th of August, with plans to expand further into IMAX locations and large formats worldwide on Friday the 15th. I joined AMC A-List recently. I might actually go this time. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macosken. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can find me on Mastodon, macOS Ken at mastodon.social. You can also send me an email, info@macosken.com. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Leonard likes this post.